Hey there everybody, my name is Grant, and welcome to another episode of the Weekly Comment, where this week you can kind of say is a follow-up to the previous episode of the Weekly Comment about there being multiple Californias. In that last episode, I referenced the plan to split up California into 6 different states by Tom Draper, a Silicon Valley investor. Well, as it turns out, beyond my knowledge, he was at it again, but this time with a far less ambitious plan. See, this time, he wants to split the state up into 3 instead of 6. Now, I had been a supporter of his last plan because I feel the region of California where I live and am from, Central California, doesn't really feel economically or politically represented in our capital in Sacramento. So when I hear about Draper at it again, I'm like, oh, okay, it's another map. Okay, let's see. Let's look at this. And it didn't look too good, at least from my perspective. I didn't like the way California was split up here. But I wanted to make sure that the numbers were actually doing what I thought they were doing. And so I went to the California Secretary of State's website, pulled up all the voter registration data from all the counties across California, and started doing the math. Luckily, both this and Draper's previous plan to split up California were being drawn along already pre-existing county lines, so that made the math for me a hell of a lot easier. So if you want all the data that I'm using to come up with these conclusions, you can find those in the description below. So when it comes to me and what I want in a split up California, I want the state to become more politically competitive. If not on a whole, at least then on individual levels. And this plan doesn't do much of that. So currently California is, as it stands now, registered about 45% Democrat, 25% Republican, and 30% registered as neither. And if you split up California the way Tim Draper's plan is suggesting, it doesn't get much better, well, anywhere except for like one place. So this plan has 3 Californias. There is a Northern California, which is, the usual place people think of, or at least people on the coasts think of when they think of Northern California, which is, San Francisco Bay Area up to the border with Oregon, which would include Stanislaus County where I live. And so the state of Northern California would be slightly less politically competitive than current California is, with about 47% being registered Democrat, 23% Republican, and 30% being registered as neither. So in this circumstance, Northern California would essentially be what California is now, just slightly more to the left than current California is. Along with Northern California, there's also a regular California, which is even less competitive than this supposed new Northern California, which is about 50% registered Democrat, 20% Republican, and 30% registered as neither. And of course, this regular California is basically just the Los Angeles area. That's what it is. The only place in California that becomes more politically competitive is Southern California, which is basically Fresno, Bakersfield, Orange County, San Diego, that whole area, which tends to be more, at least politically Republican, if not, say, socially conservative. So this state ends up being the most politically competitive out of the 3, with Democrats going from 45% down to 37%, and Republicans going up from 25% up to 34%, with about 29% registered as neither. And it's something funny I noticed in doing all this, and that is basically people who are registered as neither Republican or Democrat are pretty evenly spread out across the state of California, because each state has about an equal number, and that just so happens to also be the percentage of the state as a whole. So, if those of you people who call yourselves independents or registered third parties, you're pretty evenly distributed. So that's just an interesting observation on my part. Now, of course, should California do this? And in my opinion, it depends on where you stand politically. If you are a Republican, this is not a plan you want to endorse, because the only thing you get out of it is Southern California. And here's the thing. In this scenario, Southern California still leans Democrat, but it's a lot more competitive. So in this scenario, I see Northern California and regular California being solidly Democrat states, with Southern California being a swing state. And so, in this scenario, you're getting basically an additional swing state. But it's an additional swing state that's leaning Democrat, and the Democrats can win. It's very winnable for them, basically. They can divert money that they don't have to spend in the other 2 Californias to this new front of electoral politics, or at least to say this. This plan is only beneficial to Republicans in the Electoral College. But if you're looking at Congress, it is a much worse deal for them. So you see, if you increase the number of states, you also have to increase the number of senators. And with this plan, we would have 4 additional senators representing the geographic area that is currently California. Now, this Senate distribution is going to be very beneficial for Democrats, because as you see, the 2 senators California already has are Democrats. You know, they are San Francisco area Democrats, and they're both from the area that is currently in this plan part of North California. So they would probably continue to represent that area, which is no change. So of the additional 4 potential Senate seats, the 2 that would come from regular California, being the Los Angeles area, are obviously going to be Democrats, as in they have over 50% of the vote there. So that's 2 additional Senate seats for the Democrats that they don't have to compete for. And then you have Southern California, which is already leaning Democrat. And my guess is, in this hypothetical scenario where South California becomes its own state, at least one of its senators at any time is going to be a Democrat. And there are going to be times where both of them are Democrats, and then times where one of them is a Republican. And so, in this scenario, Democrats get at least 3 additional Senate seats that they don't have to compete much for. And 1 seat that might go to them sometimes and then go to the Republicans at other times. So if you are a Republican, you should definitely be against this measure at all costs. It's not good for your party. It's just not good. Basically, you will be guaranteeing Democrats control of the Senate for at least the next 20 years in exchange for slightly more competitiveness on the West Coast, which you're already used to not winning anyways. So it's not a very good call for you. For Democrats, on the other hand, you could probably take it or leave it. You know, if you leave it as is, you'll have all your guaranteed electoral votes and 2 guaranteed Senate seats. If you take it, you're going to get at least 3, in my calculation, Senate seats, and sometimes an extra one, so 4 possible additional Senate seats for you. If you're willing to sacrifice, 20 odd electoral votes in exchange for control of the Senate, then, that might be a worthwhile deal for you. So that is my review of Tom Draper's current plan to try and split up the state of California. What are your thoughts on the matter? I have an article detailing more stuff about it in the description below, along with all of the voter registration data that I pulled from the Secretary of State for California's office. You can find that all down in the description. You can support the videos on this channel by going to patreon.com/GrantHurst and choosing to become a patron, where you can get access to videos early and your name in the end credits. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.